Welcome to CAB Radio 2.0. Here are your hosts, Chris Perkins, Mark Cummins, and Jeff Giles.
Let's continue here. Let's move on with our guest, N.A. Poe. How's it going, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good,
man.
Is this Perkins?
This is Perkins. I got my co-host, Jeff Giles, and Mark Cummins on with us.
How are you, gentlemen?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well tonight. It's relaxing. It's beautiful out. I'm sitting outside.
No.
Just relaxing.
You know,
good be, man.
So what do you prefer? We call your name's Nikki, right? Should we call you?
Just call me Poe, man. Everyone just calls me Poe.
Poe's good.
That's funny. I was going to ask the same thing. I was going to ask, like, oh, well, I don't know. You want to call Poe? Do you know? All right.
You know what sucks is I created the name N.A. Poe to get away from my Italian surname that I actually have, and then I have fucking people call me Nikki, and I feel like I'm right back to square one. So sometimes I kind of wish I didn't expose it, but you know, N.A. Poe is just it's a mix of Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue and Edgar Allan Poe. So it's Nikki Allan Poe. So that's how that ended up happening.
Nice.
Yeah.
I actually have always kind of wondered that, so we cleared that up. That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Because I used to do drugs and fuck girls in bathrooms like Nikki Sixx, and then I went through this dark period, and I ended up, kind of acting like Edgar Allan Poe, so I figured I'd mash it fucking together.
Fucking right, man. Fucking right, man. Be creative.
So, dude, what was it, like a month ago or something, you ran for, what was it, state rep?
Right. City council in Philadelphia.
Okay, well, I was at my girlfriend's house watching TV, and it's like the only time I ever watch TV, and they had the local news on, and I saw your photo on there, and they showed you, and they showed two other candidates, right? And your photo, it was like a really poorly chosen photo, because I know you got better photos than that, and the quality, it was like what's the word I'm looking for? Faded. Like it wasn't clear quality. It wasn't like digital. It looked like it was blurry, right? And the other candidates, they looked all like professional looking, and it was completely digital. It was complete propaganda, dude. What was the picture? Was the picture of me in the white shirt with holding up the tie? Is it that one? I think so. It's funny. I took that selfie before I went to court, and I called it sentencing selfie, and I haven't been able to get away from it. I mean, I took it in my fucking kitchen, you know what I mean? And I thought, like, hey, it'd be funny to take a selfie of myself before I go to get sentenced by the federal government, and, like, that picture's been following me everywhere. You never know what picture you take is going to be the one that gets you around. But, yeah, they tried to, well, the thing is about it is that, it was a very low budget. By low budget, I mean $0 fucking dollars. Campaign, and the guy that won, was funded by, in Philadelphia, a lot of the politicians are funded by a union which took over for the mafia, and they have actually put $25 million into elections in the last 10 years. Now, for an electricians union, that's just odd if you think about it. So the guy that was elected was actually the political director of the union for a long time. So what's happening is the heads of the union in Philadelphia are inserting, people into political offices, and then when they need a fucking contract or a no-bid gig, you know what I mean? And as an Italian, that pisses me off too, because, I mean, the Italians used to do it so much better, with La Cosa Nostra, and we at least, dressed a lot better than most of these schmucks.
Right.
So, it was nice to, but you know what? It's like, we made a lot of videos, and we did a lot of trolling, and I did a lot of interviews, and what was a relief in the long run with that was that we did get over 4,200 votes. So, what is relief about that is that, one, that average Philadelphians are fed up with the system to the point that they would vote for a fucking comic that's on fucking federal probation. And then, second, and the thing is, I don't know 4,000 people, man. Secondarily, it's very interesting that, in this day and age, without money, that you can, like, look, if I got, 900 votes or something like that, I would have felt like an asshole dedicating, like the 60, 70 days that we did, into the campaign, and then to get, some jerk-off, libertarian amount of votes. To get 4,200 votes, made me feel like, well, the project was at very least, worth doing. So,
right.
It was very, it was very, we'll chalk it up as successful. We raised a lot of issues. And, the recent decriminalization of marijuana in Philadelphia, although, it isn't going as smoothly as I, had hoped, I'd like to think that campaign raised that issue, to the forefront of things, and that hopefully, once September rolls around, no one will get cuffed for marijuana in Philadelphia, which is, probably my personal biggest accomplishment that I've ever been involved with. I mean, activism work in general is like fucking just standing in front of a, wall and banging your head into it, and to actually see a project through to fruition in this business, is a rarity.
Did you just bring up Sheldon Cooper?
Who is that?
Oh, I could have sworn I thought you mentioned Sheldon.
What?
No, I said, I think I might have said Sheldon. Are you guys drinking?
Sorry.
I think I saw
dude,
a bottle of fucking tequila on the internet today from you guys. Is that you guys?
Oh,
eating watermelon.
That's me, but yeah. Jeff's the one. Jeff would be the one that sounds a little drunk right now, but yeah.
Okay.
I am not drunk. I'm like this all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've yet to I should add you as friends on here, dude. I know.
Do it, man.
I know you. You and my friend Jennifer Allegra.
Yeah.
Friends. So that's cool. I should have right then, but I was like, oh, cool. All right.
I spend most of my time trying to entertain people as much as I possibly can on the internet. I think that, comedy in general is a good format for reaching the masses, especially in a time that, is so dark. And I feel like a lot of times that the reason that, a lot of activism isn't effective is because, it kind of becomes like real niche-y where like you have your group of people and you're talking about your shit and there's really no way to convey it to the masses. So what I've, tried to do with my career in general is just to take comedy and, try to use that as a way to engage people because, people like laughing and, if you don't laugh nowadays, I mean, you're going to fucking cry. So, I do my best to inspire people through that kind of work as opposed to being like, hey, the government's going to fucking put us in FEMA camps. Like, no one that has a job wants to hear that shit, in my opinion.
So, dude, you took one for the team during that smoke down prohibition. Thanks
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I kind of did.
That was awesome.
Yeah, well, I really didn't know. It propelled a lot of things. For me personally, as well as for a lot of the causes that I'm involved with, and it was a crazy experience, and I'm still dealing with some of the fallout with it, with probation and shit. But in the long run, I was unprepared for it happening. Like there was seven other smoke down prohibitions after that arrest, and after that, you knew that you were going to get fucking pinched if you smoked weed. You know what I mean? But like to kind of to happen with like the suddenness. I always kind of thought that. I not that I wanted to get arrested, but at some point I figured like, I'm not making any apologies for the fact that like I'm an entertainer and I want people to pay attention, to what I do. And I think that, that's what differentiates me from a lot of activists. A lot of activists act like they're just about their cause, but they're actually just like kind of like shittily trying to promote themselves,
Right.
So, I feel like when that happened, it was kind of almost cinematic to a certain extent. Like, I could have got arrested at a protest or whatever, and it would have just been whatever. To get arrested, in such a, violent fashion, and for so many people to see it, and and to be honest, being arrested with cocaine, kind of propelled, me within libertarian circles, which I wasn't really prepared for because, like, I ran on the libertarian platform for city council, and I've, have friends that are libertarians, and, et cetera. But, like, I'm not a gun owner, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I don't have any fucking Bitcoin. I appreciate blacks and women, so I'm not necessarily a libertarian. So,
okay.
But I'm like half kidding. So, it was hard for me to all of a sudden to be like being judged by all these people that I didn't necessarily be asked to, be following my work, So
Right.
that was a very interesting time, and like I kind of like worked my way through that, and then when I decided to take this city council run as a libertarian, I decided that, hey, I'm a guy that, considers myself like an ally of, feminists, and a guy that, doesn't necessarily think that, like, a lot of the things that libertarians are doing, are right. Like, I think the problem is sometimes is that, like, a lot of people out there in America don't realize that they're libertarians because they have to live within this left-right paradigm, and they're not really given that option. And then, but what happens is it's a combination of the way the mainstream media paints libertarians, and secondarily, libertarians' actual behavior that kind of puts most Americans in a position to not necessarily realize that they are very liberty-oriented with their values. So what I tried to do with the idea of running in that way was to kind of, like, I don't know, expand the idea of what someone that would vote for a libertarian would be. Because let's be honest, every time a fucking libertarian runs for office, especially in, like, local elections, it's like this, like, uptight fucking guy, you know what I mean, that, like, has all these, like, really, like, hardcore, like, economic and political, like, ideals as far as libertarian that are basically alienating to the average American, and that's why, and trying to make a third party, work. I was just trying to paint the picture of, like, I think the 21st century libertarian is like someone that has to like, I completely agree with, don't tell me what I can put in my own body, like, shit like that, and, like, just expanding the idea, trying to get African Americans involved, trying to get women that aren't just making YouTube videos and putting their cleavage on calendars for libertarians, trying to just change the idea, because the thing is like, these libertarians that are following jerk-offs like Cantwell and Kokesh are literally alienating the rest of, society from being able to, engage the idea of liberty. And I think that, that's kind of sad. So just taking this aggro white male bullshit and putting it to the side, and maybe next time I'll tell everyone I'm bisexual. That'll drive them insane. I'll run on the bisexual libertarian platform, and that'll fucking blow everyone's mind. But no, for real, I just think that, like, a lot of it, I think too, is like after Ron Paul, right? Like, although fine, like, he, like, writes articles with the KKK or whatever, but, like, after Ron Paul, there was like this power vacuum, for the liberty movement, and the people that started getting big with podcasts and, rising as, I call them celebritardians, the people that started rising in those circles, in my opinion, like, are very self-serving, like, pricks. Like, I've never asked anyone for $1, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a donate button on any of my shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, finance my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Or, hey, like, and I think that that's bullshit, man. You know what I mean? So, like,
right, yep.
And I've always tried to, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, so you think that's actually what it's coming to? You think that there are a few of them that are actually doing that? Because I've kind of said the same thing. There's a lot of them that are asking for donations or whatever, but people that are donating really don't know where the money's going to. I mean, we don't know what.
Finance my lifestyle. Like, that twat, that girl Amanda Billy Rock. You ever heard of this?
Oh, dude.
Oh my God, dude. It's like, and another thing is like, look, dude, me and my girlfriend live in Philadelphia, in South Philadelphia, which, like, is an all-right place sometimes, and it's an all-right, not an all-right place sometimes. But you know what? Whenever we walk by, like, an interaction with the police that we see is, like, kind of, like, fishy, we take out our cameras at a safe distance, okay, and we cop block, okay? But, like, this aggro, like, phone in the fucking face of, like, every police officer in the world. Like, I don't think people understand that, like, when you know what the most beautiful revolutionary images are to me when you see cops lay down their shit and, like, hang out with, like, protesters or, like, you know, like, those kind of, like, images, because, like, literally, to break the chains, you know, that we're in, like, we need those. They're the first line of resistance for, like, the fucking elite and the Illuminati and the people that are trying to, like, control us and shit like that. By, like, convincing them in some capacity that, like, what they're doing is, like, wrong, like I'll take a cop that puts his shit down and crosses over to our side and says, you know what, it's, like, wrong. Like, obviously it's few and far between. But people don't think about the idea that these people have made, like, life decisions that we don't necessarily agree with. But, you know, when those two cops got killed in Vegas, man, and, like, Cantwell came out, like, calling for, like, the death of cops and, like, you know, like, all this, like, stuff, man, like, you know, just as, like, a human being, I just felt like, where did we go wrong with the idea of, like, you know, and then, like, I don't know, I just feel like the rules are changing, you know, it's like, I don't even know what the non-aggression principle fucking is, but you know what? Non-aggression are the first two fucking words, okay? So, like, you know,
hypocrisy.
Like, right, yeah, so, like, that, yeah, exactly, like, the hypocrisy and, like, and just the flamboyance, especially from, like, Cantwell probably had his dick sucked since Ronald Reagan was president. I think, like, we should all, like, tie that back to what is, like, the actual problem with that gentleman. You know what I mean? Like, this is, like, where the problem lies. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, all these fucking, like, white males in their, like, fucking 40s that want to, like, call on people, like, to kill cops and all this crazy-ass fucking bullshit. I mean, that's not going to get the sheeple on our side, dude. You know what I mean? That's going to further ostracize. And, you know, it's funny, if you look at these, like, things that say that the government is starting to, like, you know, paint, like, right-wing groups, you know, and all these right-wing anarchists as, like, you know, potential terrorists, well, you know, the problem with spouting bullshit like that for an asshole like Cantwell, like, he's doing it for fucking web hits, right? But at the same time, and you get jag-offs, like, there's two people that killed people in Vegas, where they're not intelligent enough to realize that that's just, like, you know, more or less a theoretical idea from, like, a sad, lonely dude, you know, and then they go out and kill people. Like, that's irresponsible, man. There's a lot of people out there that are listening to these personalities, unfortunately. And the fact, and a lot of them aren't very brave. Look, if you're still listening to Alex Jones, you do not have a high IQ. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, and if you start listening to, like, guys that are even low budget or like that, like Cantwell and Kokash, they're calling for, you know, violence or in the very least celebrating the idea of death, you know, then some asshole that has an AR-15 that lives in Iowa that hates his parents and is on some psychotropics might think it's a good idea to spray up a police station. And you know what? I'm not going to cheer for that, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to cheer for that. You know, it's scary times. And the thing is, as being painted, you know, and as these groups are eventually painted more as terrorist organizations, you know, right-wing groups and that type of shit, like, they're going to actually bring the hammer of the police state down on us harder and faster, you know, than anything else ever could. And a lot of them are going to do it with them that, you know, they're almost looking for that idea of that. Because you know what? Then you can paint every guy that has fucking more than 10 cans of Spam in his basement, you know, as a fucking doomsday prepper. I mean, like, you know, and we're at war. I'm not going to say we're not at war for our liberties. You know what I mean? But there's tactical ways to do it. A lot of people busted my balls with working with the city government to get this decriminalization bill passed. Well, you know what? Next year, 4,000 people aren't going to be arrested for marijuana in Philadelphia. If that doesn't fit your model of what freedom it is, if that doesn't fit your model of, like, working for change, then you know what? You don't know what working for real change is.
Right.
So,
that's
you know
that's progress. That's progress.
You know, so if you're going to say that I'm, like, complicit with working with the government or by me running for offices, you know, like, anarchy, I've worked with a lot of left-wing anarchists for a really long time, and I'm talking about, like, the people that, like, won't show their faces at protests and shit like that. And I really feel like, you know, this whole right-wing anarchy that has, like, you know, popped up post Ron Paul on the right side of things is actually very immature, because like anarchy as a word kind of has this coolness to it, and I feel like a lot of the people on the right wing side of things never felt cool like that, and being able to like call themselves anarchists and ETC kind of has like this cool vibe for a lot of these nerdy fucks, you know what I mean? And not to mention that having a fucking gun on your hip gives you, it's an extension of your penis to a certain extent. So, you have a bunch of assholes running around PorkFest with anarchy tattoos with their fucking guns on.
Dude,
okay.
I was going to ask you, I was going to say, I guess you're not an anarchist. Dude, and speaking of PorkFest and Amanda Billy Rock, last year I went to PorkFest, and you're right, everyone does, the whole open carry thing, that, it's whatever. I mean, it's kind of...
Yeah.
Kind of
I wrote a joke about it. I wrote a joke about it on Facebook the other day, where I said something like, "Dear Department of Homeland Security," and I tagged them. And I said, I would normally never do this, but I have a tip for you. Every loudmouth asshole libertarian in America has invaded New Hampshire this week for PorkFest, and they're so happy walking around spending their little bitcoins and their guns on their hips and spouting their political and economic bullshit to other like-minded imbeciles. Now would be a good time to round them all up and put them in FEMA camps while their guards down, and, I hate to say, and a lot of people get pissed. Dude, I'm in a unique position with this shit, because you know what? I'm not a fucking libertarian, but you know what? Libertarians listen to what I do. Libertarians are friends of mine.
Oh,
so,
dude, I totally disagree with half of what you're saying, but you're making me laugh my ass off.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get
whatever.
Well, thank you. Is that Perkins?
No, this is Mark here.
That was Mark.
Okay. Well, thank fucking God. And that's another thing. Literally, if I go to PorkFest next year, I'm gonna take a camp and set it up and call it Camp Fucking Sarcasm, and you can come by there, and I'll teach you how to not take everything that's fucking said in the goddamn world literally. I have literally people sending me messages and attacking me. I'm like, dude, do you really think that I personally just called for a drone strike on PorkFest? Is that where you are in your fucking head, dude? Because you're
for real. You come to the right place. I mean, we don't. We don't take ourselves too serious.
I'll tell you what, I didn't want to say this. I really didn't want to say this,
fucking
but
awesome.
at PorkFest, Amanda Billy Rock, I listened to her speak, and out of I saw 30 different, people on stage, whatever, all together during that week, and Amanda Billy Rock had to be the most boring person. I mean, I was almost falling asleep. I don't understand that at all.
I didn't know.
Well, she's one of those people that and my problem with women in the liberty movement is this, and I'm friends with Josie Wales.
Right.
She's a personal friend of mine, and, but the way, girls aren't necessarily, the Panic Hour, has two core women members that basically tell me what to do most of the time. But the way that women are aligned up in, the liberty movement, it's wow, she's got, well, here's a blonde with great fucking tits that's, spouting, ideological bullshit that a bunch of 50-year-old dudes can jack off to. And it's not equality, okay? It's not really taking women seriously. Look at the 20 libertarian women that are quote-unquote personalities that get the most attention. You would fuck the shit out of every one of them, dude. You know what I mean? And there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? There's definitely a reason for that, because, women don't have a sense of equality within that movement. And I feel like what's really holding back the libertarian movement in general, or the liberty movement, is the fact that there is no equality. It's dude, why would I want to have a society where white males are in charge again? I just don't necessarily think that it would make, the most sense. So,
I'll tell you what, dude, Josie Wales is a serious exception to that. I mean, she's unbelievably brilliant. And
that's because Larkin Rose writes her videos.
Yeah.
He doesn't write them, does he? I thought he just makes the videos.
No, he writes them. She reads them. Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm glad you're fooled. But
no, dude. When she was on the show, she obviously it was live, and she was brilliant on the show. And
Josie's great, and I'm not. And the thing is, maybe she is the exception to the rule, but I'm just saying in general, if Josie didn't have the rack that she did, then you know what I mean. Like she wouldn't necessarily get the same attention. And you know what? I'm not talking down on women. I'm actually talking up on women. I just think that that all the girls that get the attention in the liberty movement, it's because when everyone's sitting around the campfire talking about their Bitcoin, they're talking about their racks too. And that it is what it is. But it's weird for activism work because my girlfriend's a feminist too, so I'm so whipped into fucking shape that I just after I jerk off, I'd usually take a shower and scrub myself.
Wow, you really are bad off.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So I mean, whatever. I'm not trying, and the thing is, obviously, for the listeners of your show, you know what I mean? N.A. Poe, you can send me messages and tell me I'm a piece of shit or whatever, but, at least you guys realize that, I'm coming, 50% truth and 50%, trying to have a sense of humor about things to a certain extent, because we have created our own cultures, with this work, and I think that that's a good thing, that there is activism cultures, because there wasn't a lot of this, I'd like to say before the Occupy movement broke out, especially here in Philadelphia, that, a lot of people talk shit on the Occupy movement, but what they allowed to happen in Philadelphia was they allowed about 100 really fucking intelligent activists to meet each other. And now, of course, there was 300 people down there just getting, free meals and pissing on City Hall. But there was about 100 people afterwards that kind of stayed in contact, and we've become an amazing activist network in Philadelphia. And a lot of my libertarian connections and friends and people I still work with, my core group is made up of people that I met at Occupy. So that project was a failure in general, but they did let a lot of smart people get together and start working together. So I'll always be thankful for that.
Nice. So what's your, I'm kind of curious now that you're bringing this the whole feminism thing up in Cantwell, what's your take on that whole Cantwell versus Bueller dispute back in the day?
Well, you know what? I mean, I ask you this. Look at Antonio Bueller's track record as an activist, and look at Chris Cantwell's track record as an activist, okay? Antonio Bueller is an intelligent fucking man that fucking has sensitivities and that fucking is a minority and wants equal rights for fucking all people involved. And Chris Cantwell is a mid-40s guy that lives in his parents' basement that tells racist, sexist, and homophobic jokes. You know what I mean? So there really is no comparison in that. And, to be honest, anyone that they considers one word that comes out of Christopher Cantwell's mouth to be legitimate, I wouldn't even, clean my bathroom anyway. So, the way I look at that is, I don't want anyone that follows a fucking idiot like that to even be anywhere near any of my work, because my work is for the good of all mankind, not the good of, white males that are sexist. So, I mean,
right.
supposedly there's this group out there called Libertarian Brutalism or something like that, which I would never I would never even look at, But, so these people... it's just it's no good. It's because the thing is, once guys what I was saying earlier about less intelligent people being able to be influenced by these idiots, when anyone that wants to back a guy like Cantwell or wants to listen to what he's saying, and you start seeing the racism and the sexism and all that stuff start coming out in their Facebook posts right away, and it's wow, these people are just dark, man, and they're not good for society, man. I mean, especially for our society. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're not even, I'm living on the fringes of society and have to deal with this kind of stuff. You figure it would be way out of the picture at this point, having to deal with that kind of bullshit. So it's unfortunate. I mean, Chris Cantwell, dude, I wouldn't even use, I have fun, poking fun at him like this, but, I would never even engage someone that's that fucking stupid. I don't care. What's he doing? What is he doing? Can you tell me? I mean, can you tell me a positive thing that he's doing?
I think he's a great writer.
I guess.
I think he has some great articles.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, dude, I don't give a fuck about ideological libertarianism because it's like talking about what the government would be like on Atlantis. You know what I mean? Like, it's never gonna like actually
Some sort of
go
utopian dream or some shit. Like,
right? Yeah, like if I could move out of the basement and run the world, this is how it would be.
You know, dude, you hit the spot there because I have a feeling a lot of anarchists, what they want to see happen, they don't want any government first off, of course, which is unrealistic to me. It just doesn't make any sense. And the transition to get there would be suicidal. But the thing they want to see is they want to see all hell break loose. They want to go in some sort of bunker or whatever. And then once a couple hundred million people in America die as a result from the transition to absolutely zero government, they want to come out victorious in their own
and raise the Confederate flag.
And they pretty much, and that's a part of it. They want to come out in their own community and be like basically cult leaders, you know, where everyone like worships them. And yeah, that's another part of it. I am concerned because I am in no way racist or sexist. I am capable of joking around sometimes, but I know it's insensitive and wrong.
Right. I mean, I'm a fucking comedian, man. Like, I get it. You know what I mean?
Right. There's still humor in it, and we can all make fun of each other. It's fun to do that because I feel it breaks. It's like Dave Chappelle. To me, he's a hero because he broke the ice. He was taking away the power from words, like the N-word. He was taking its power away and kind of like getting and kind of dismantling it that way. At least that's how I felt.
Right, and another thing about anarchists is they don't want government, they don't want laws or whatever, but they're walking around with licenses and social security cards and all this shit. It's like,
that's a nail on the head, man. And the thing is, that's funny too, is someone I can't differentiate your voices, but made the point about how the transition would be suicidal. It's like, dude, we live in the day of the largest, most intrusive, most expansive fucking government in the history of the fucking world. For like, I live with the idea that if I'm going to work for change, my goals have to be realistic. And the thing is, like, the idea of saying that, well, let's like rid ourselves of like the government, like, just doesn't pose any like positive, pragmatic like change within within any kind of form, like, you know, so like, you know, if you're going into the fight with that attitude, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to become bitter, you're going to become disappointed, and you're going to probably end up on, like, some list if and when they do round people up, they're going to be the first person to come and get them. So, like, I just don't necessarily understand, you know, and I said I think a lot of it comes from an immaturity or not necessarily a full idea of what anarchy, you know, really is. You know, great. You know, like, you go to Porkfest and they'll like leave that fucking camp alone for like a week, and then like, you know, and then they'll act like, you know, they created this utopian society. Well, like, okay, like, say the grid does go down, and then there's just like 1,500 assholes with like guns, like trying to be in charge of one another. Like, literally, like, I would like, you know, that's just would never, like, actually really work. So, you know, I want realistic change. I have realistic goals. I want people to not be put in handcuffs for marijuana. I want people to take some of the power back, you know, in this country, you know, the way that, you know, in a way that it's nonviolent. And I think that, you know, as the anarchist right moves further away from any kind of, like, realistic ideas, that, like, hopefully guys like me will end up being, you know, leaders for more pragmatic, you know, people that want to actually have, you know, some real solutions. And I welcome that, because another major problem, in my opinion, is a lot of these personalities in the liberty movement don't want you to fight with them. They want you to watch them, and they want you to pay them, and they want you to donate to them. What I want to do is, I don't want to create followers. I want to create more soldiers. Smoke Down Prohibition wasn't about, hey, come watch me and a Poe smoke a joint and tell the government to go fuck myself, and then I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. I said, hey, bring your ass down here. Bring a joint down here. and stand with me, and let's take this power back together. And, like, this whole voyeur society of celebrity fucking libertarians that's being created is great for, like, the 20 or 25 people on the top of that pyramid that are getting money and getting paid to speak and et cetera, but everyone else is just paying into that fucking system, and they're not being inspired to go out and do anything. Fine, like, every once in a while some dickhead will grab a camera and get real close to a cop's face, and then it'll go viral on fucking YouTube, and he'll be a hero for a week. But, like, no one's building coalitions, you know, because everyone, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to put in my body. Well, then how the fuck are we going to work together if we can't start, like, working towards, like, you know, some common themes? So, you know, whatever.
No, I'm going to agree with you there, dude, because that, I don't know if, right, and I think if the anarchists get what they want and each community gets to make up its own rules, I think it's going to be like Lord of the Flies, and they talk a big game with, like, the non-aggression principle, but a lot of these people are very aggressive, and if the people in their community vote and say, well, we don't want this person in there, they're going to get aggressive, and they're going to bring back lynching and shit. It's like, so, it's like bringing us back to the Dark Ages. It's pretty sad.
Thank God it'll never fucking happen, man, because, you know, like, you're right, you know, you know, and when you think idealistically, like, you know, hey, everyone does, you know, but, like, you know, I like to say my brother's like a 30-year-old dude with 2 kids and, like, you know, a decent job, and he owns a home. And, you know, I'm sure he thinks that everything fucking sucks, and I'm sure he hates the fucking government. You know what I mean? But you know what? He has responsibilities. He has people to take care of. So, like, we're never going to be able to, you know, really get everyone to come out and you know, if we eventually get to the point where we get, like, the middle class to rise up, you know what I mean? Like, they need to rise up around people that are, you know, presenting ideas that have solutions, not ideas that are, like, you know, just be, you know, it would be anarchy, but not in the way. It'd be anarchy like a fucking purge, not anarchy like, you know, this peace-loving fucking idea that everyone has, you know.
It would be like a purge. It'd be sick.
Yeah, it'd be really scary, you know. So, you know, I used to think that there was no future left at all, and I used to, you know, kind of hope for the end of the world in kind of this, like, you know, sadistic way, you know, in my head. And now, you know what, I don't think like that at all, man. I think, like, what's tomorrow going to bring, and what can we do to make things better for now? Because, you know, we're not going to be here very long, man. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, a lot of us aren't going to end up in the fucking history books. So, you know what I mean? You got to work to change where you are and do the best you can and treat people the best that you can and be sensitive about things that, you know, that others are thinking. And that's the only way that we're really going to ever achieve any kind of, like, harmony amongst, you know, people, you know, and you know, whatever. I hope those guys get what they want, because I'd love to watch it on TV.
So I thought, why did I think that Mike Salvi was your brother? Is he your brother?
No, but Mike Salvi is about as close as a brother as people without. You know, there's a fucking libertarian leader. There's a guy that does great work.
Salvi's a good shit. Yep.
Mike is like, you know, I met Mike a couple of years ago, and you know, we're like brothers. We actually, like, meet every, like, you know, 8-10 days, and we go to the titty bar, and we have a couple of drinks, and we sit around and relax, and we talk. And, like, you know, Mike is one of my closest confidants, and he's actually one of the, you know, the more progressive libertarians that I know. You know, I mean, he's realistic. I mean, Mike has a family. He's realistic about the ideas. Like, Mike has plenty of guns, but you'll never see one on him. You know what I mean? And he works with so many different groups, and he's so sensitive to so many different people and how they feel about things. And I think that, you know, for a long time I've been pushing Mike to kind of step up and, you know, put himself in a position where, like, you know, he's one of the libertarians that's revered in a national fashion, because I think that he is, like, the neo-libertarian. You know, I'll never... You know, Mike knows so much more about libertarianism and has been a libertarian so much longer than I could ever imagine, that, you know, he would be great to fill those shoes as someone that's really just kind of, you know, doing different stuff and doing it with a good attitude and being happy and treating people the right way, instead of, like, you know, I just think that anything, you know, this barbaric idea of, like, you know, yelling down your opposition and, you know, all that shit that guys like Cantwell and even Kokesh to a certain extent, this just alpha male bullying bullshit is like what I've been trying to escape from the minute I got pushed into my first locker. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to, work with guys like Salvi and, me and Jim Babb. I don't know if you know Jim, but Jim is a,
Yep.
Jim's a great activist, and we've banged heads a lot lately because he's like you were saying earlier about libertarians that pay their taxes and have Social Security cards and have driver's license. Jim's big on the idea of anarchy and fuck the police, etc. But he's paying his bills, so he taught me a lot about things. I don't fucking pay taxes. He taught me a lot of things about, he was a mentor of mine for a long time. And, I'm just trying to take all these ideas that I learned from these people, all different types of people, and kind of work them into like a mishmash of ideas that end up being able to be presented, to everyone so that we could work to expand the idea.
Right, and that's why I'm not down with the whole labels and like the libertarian and all this shit. Because, I have a bunch of different ideas, and they kind of mesh in with other people's ideals and everything, and I think everyone just needs to work together. And you know what I mean?
And we can't do that by calling out, our comrades that don't necessarily agree with us 100%, and then getting, a bunch of people to attack them because we're not coming from the same place. That's high school bullshit,
Right.
And once again, I think it comes a lot of the times from, like, I'm an entertainer, dude, and, like, I have been around talented people, like, for a long time, and, a lot of these fucking personalities that are garnering a lot of attention within the liberty movement aren't very talented people, and they're not even that intelligent, and the fact that they have people following them is kind of scary because if, like, I hear that bullshit and I'm just like, okay, whatever, and moving on, and, like, but God, people are like engaged by this shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, what's a person?
Okay, and that's where you draw the line. Is where do you like? You use the word following. Like, I don't really follow anybody. You know what I mean? But like, I can take bits and pieces out of everybody, I guess.
Right.
And take the positive out of everything. You know what I mean? That's what I try to do, and that's obvious what you try to do. You're a very upbeat, positive guy, which, that's way cool. But, you know what I mean? Like, there's a place for everybody, I guess.
Marcus,
you're right. Believe me, I'm not trying to totally be a hater, and I think that everyone should be able to bring their ideas to the table to a certain extent. It's just that I think that the wrong people are rising to the top of these movements, and what that's going to do is create people. Like, imagine someone that listens to, like, Sean Hannity or something like that. Like, you ever have a conversation with someone that watches, like, shit like that? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in the same way, imagine, like, you're getting most of your information from, Adam Kokesh and Chris Cantwell. Like, that's going to, like, breed, like, a certain kind of, like, thought. You know what I mean? And, like, that's not thought that necessarily needs to be spread to a large amount of people. I don't care if Joe Blow, the libertarian, feels that way. If he has no one listening to him, that's fine. Like, tell your wife about it. But if like 20,000 people are following your shit and you're saying that out loud, and then people are eating it up, that's going to create like that kind of mind frame for other people. And I just don't think that's healthy for the liberty movement in general. So, do me a favor and send this podcast to Chris Cantwell, will you?
I'm gonna. I will do. I will do that. Once I put it on YouTube, I'll send them the link.
Send the link.
Okay. Yeah.
Man.
No problem. Hey. We got to take a quick break. Can we? Do you got a little bit more time to come back and talk about the war on drugs for a little bit?
Yeah.
Sure, I sure can.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome. All right, everybody, we will be back.
All right.
The rollout of the Affordable Care Act continues to be terrible. First, there were technical problems with the healthcare.gov website. Now comes news that not enough young and healthy Americans are signing up for coverage, which is crucial for the success of the program. The way insurance works is you need all the young, healthy people to pay for insurance and not use it until they get old and unhealthy. And so far, only a quarter of the 2.2 million people who signed up are between 18 and 34, 24%. The White House was hoping for closer to 38%. Why they would hope that, I don't know. They expect young people to buy insurance at the same time the PlayStation 4 comes out? You know, if you want young people to sign up, maybe you shouldn't have made the law so you can stay on your parents' plan until you turn 26. I mean, what kid is going to say, you know, no thanks, Mom and Dad, I got the premiums covered. The deadline to sign up is March 31st. In my experience, if you want to get young people to do something, all you have to do is tell them specifically not to do something, right? Or give 10 free lives in Candy Crush to the first 2 million subscribers. But just
talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like congressmen. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Obama solved all my problems.
Obamacare. Live your carefree lifestyle.
All right, let's see if this one works. Fucking, there's a flag in the background.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Put that on loud. That's it. You gotta hear this in your head and in your fucking heart, you fucking cocksuckers. Get up, you fuck. It's Wednesday. If I hear about Obamacare one more fucking time, I'm gonna stab somebody. When was the last time you bought fucking insurance from a black guy? Get your shit together. Well, the webpage don't work. Let me tell you something. If you were looking for fucking porn, you fucking find it. Leave the poor fucking black guy alone. He's got enough fucking problems, alright? He fucked up. He fucked up. What, you never fucked up? You know who fucked up? You, for counting on a black guy to get you fucking insurance. That's who fucked up. Get up, salute the flag. You want insurance? Go to the hospital and light it on fucking fire. Next time you come back, they'll take care of your 18 fucking stitches and the cancer you got in your asshole. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Obamacare. The holidays are coming. Get up. Be an American and stop crying. That's what being an American means when you turn it backwards. Stop fucking crying. Get up, salute the flag, and get your dick sucked. That's what Americans do. I love you. Stay black. Have a great week. Fucking salute you, motherfucker. God damn it. I let my emotions get the best of me. Fucking buying fucking insurance from black people. You get what you deserve, you dumb fucks.
I had to play Joey.
Oh, Joey's a good guy.
Hey guys, I'm here.
So we're back. Hey guys,
Christ, who made those commercials for you guys? Joseph Goebbels? Jesus Christ.
he did actually. How did you know?
They're funny.
I know the The commercial kind of contradicts the clip I played with Joey Diaz, but I did that on purpose just to fuck with people tonight.
Yeah, it's fun to throw a lot of different ideas into the mix.
Yeah. Exactly. So moving on, we got to get into the war on drugs because I know a lot of people are listening in tonight to hear what Mr. Poe has to say about it. But
right.
I mean, I know it's a broad. I know there's a lot to talk about, but I mean, let's get your opinion on the whole war on drugs right now, Mr. Poe.
Well, I mean, obviously the war on drugs is a failure. But I personally myself have felt the sting of the war on drugs because I was arrested, by the federal government for marijuana when, marijuana is legal in, 21 states. I mean, Washington is going to legalize recreational sales on July 8th. Pennsylvania has a bill for, marijuana, as well. So, I mean, obviously, it's a failure. I meet a lot of people. I do a lot of work with the guys from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys, but they're like cops, former cops, that want to legalize drugs. And whenever they talk about legalizing drugs, they talk about legalizing all drugs. The head of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition was from Baltimore, and he used to do undercover drug buys, and his partner got killed by in a drug deal. And after that, he said, hey, this is fucking bullshit. We're not taking the drugs off of the street, et cetera. I mean, do I think that, like, heroin should be legal? Like, no. But I think that, like, you should have clean needles to, help people that, are addicted to drugs. I mean, a lot of countries teach drugs, use drugs treat them as a mental health issue or a physical health issue as instead of being, something that's criminalized. And the thing is, that's, like, literally the largest problem because, the prison industrial complex is essentially a new form of slavery, So, by being able to lock people up for nonviolent crimes, and that's where stuff like decriminalization of marijuana becomes a victory because, people aren't going to get locked up for weed anymore, and that's important, and awesome. Moving past the idea of drugs being a criminal offense, I think is, A1. But I mean, shit. I mean, the CIA has been running fucking drugs for years. You know what I mean? A lot of our black budgets are funded by, drugs. And criminalizing this stuff makes them, allows them to profit on both ends, and that's kind of scary.
No, you're 100% right. 100%. But you say that that heroin shouldn't be legal, then what do you do with it? I mean, you don't put people away in in jail for heroin use, do you?
No, you put them into clinics, you put them into rehabs, like you give them other options. I mean, like, I just think that in general, I mean, like, something like LSD, okay, is like
beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful. But the way that people are prosecuted, for LSD, there's a guy that I was on probation with, nice guy, 28, 29, kind of hippie-ish, new age-ish. He had 5 years in federal prison for a sheet of fucking acid, and now he's on 5 years of probation after jail. That's a decade of this man's life destroyed. But over trying to expand his mind, and this is when I think that true libertarian ideals actually can be enacted in real life. Don't tell me what to put in my body. Why should they be able to regulate what one does to oneself? I think that is ridiculous. I mean, of course, there's a lot of crime that comes along with drugs and drug addiction, and I think that, if some fucking dude coked up out of his fucking mind robs a bank, well, he should go to jail for fucking robbing the bank, and then maybe he should get some treatment for the drugs while he's doing that prison sentence. I mean, I'm not talking, when people talk about, like, getting rid of the police forces, you know what I mean, and getting rid of cops, like, what would we do about the people that are committing actual fucking what do we do about the people that are committing crimes? Like, that's unrealistic to think that people that are committing crimes shouldn't be punished, but people that are committing drug crimes and non-violent offenses should be treated as such. And I think that, dealing with the war on drugs, is very important, especially in the 21st century, because, people are waking up to the idea. Marijuana legalization has allowed a lot of people to really start realizing that, we don't have to criminalize drugs anymore, and no one's going to look. Colorado hasn't burned to the ground yet.
Right.
So that's all important stuff, in my opinion. But
it's actually helped their economy, right? I mean, they've been putting that money towards some good stuff. Like that money's
the rest
actually
of the country's paying attention too, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea of people, especially on the libertarian side of things, bitch about taxing and regulating marijuana. Well, you know what? Like, I still believe in this country to a certain extent, and marijuana, can't be outsourced to India. So the idea that marijuana could regrow our economies. I mean, every kid in Colorado in 2 years is going to be sitting in front of a brand new fucking iMac. You know what I mean? Because the tax revenue is coming directly to education, which is very important. So,
but then you gotta look at regulations, though. You gotta look at.
But that's why it has to happen at the federal level, because federal regulation, starting with descheduling marijuana from being a Schedule I drug, which means it has no medicinal value. That means right now the 23 states in the union are directly contradicting federal law by having medical marijuana,
Right.
So you take it off that list and it can be studied more scientifically. Then you let your states regulate, and tax and put it wherever they want it to go as far as what's hurting their system. I mean, in Pennsylvania, we have huge parts in the middle of Pennsylvania that could definitely grow hemp. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, our crumbling educational systems would be prime candidates for the revenue from marijuana. And then this is another part about libertarians coming in with this idealistic idea of anything, where they're like, well, it should go from being illegal to being unregulated. Well, what the fuck would make you think something's going to go from illegal, completely illegal, to, hey, do whatever you want with it? There has to be some kind of, you know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden it's growing everywhere. That's not, that's fantastical. That's not something that's ever going to happen, and I think that, the road to economic recovery, the road to the decorporatization of a lot of business and jobs, is, legalization of marijuana. As far as other drugs and the war on drugs, I mean, the major problem with those are the fact that the CIA is bringing in, cocaine, the fact that our military in, Afghanistan is, helping with,
heroin, opium.
Heroin. But the thing is, that problem ties in, too, where it's so you have these corporate drugs like Oxycontin and Percocet and all these drugs that people are getting addicted to. My father just had heart surgery. He's never touched an opiate in his life. After 10 days of being on opiates, he was not necessarily ready to suck a dick for an Oxycontin, but he was conspiring, to find a way to get more drugs. I mean, football players, these guys are getting their bodies destroyed, and they're becoming drug addicts in the long run. And then you know what happens? I'm not saying that all these people are going to eventually go to heroin, but I think that it's, a lot of times the synthetic heroin, leads to, I've lost people in my life that started as pillheads, and then they started shooting, and then they're dead. So it's kind of it's kind of, the corporations, the pharmaceutical companies control the government, and then they regulate these legal drugs out to people that are more dangerous than a lot of, the regular drugs. Not to mention, if you look at the idea of psychotropics and the school shootings, I mean, that's harrowing, the numbers that are coming out. Every asshole with a trench coat and a gun in the last 20 years was on some fucking, antidepressant. I mean, so that's, also, I think the war on drugs has changed. Your traditional drugs, aren't necessarily the problem anymore. I think, the real gateway, the gateway drugs are coming from, these pharmaceutical companies, and then they're
sure.
Right. And the doctors are pushing them because the more they push the drugs, the more money those doctors make.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't clarify this, but I would like to think to a certain extent that, like, you know, I don't know how much actual opium and shit like that, you know, goes into what's made, if that's all made synthetically. But the thing is, I mean, maybe our governments in these other places, you know, like, where there's drugs and bring them over here, like maybe they're feeding the pharmaceutical pipeline to a certain extent, you know? And I mean, either way, and then these cocksuckers on the back end have the gall to be able to arrest and imprison people for using things that they helped create. I mean, it's like the massive clusterfuck system, you know? And, you know, the war on drugs is a war on us, man. You know what I mean? So I just feel like I put myself on the front lines of the drug war over and over again and, you know, spoke my mind, and I've actually paid for it, you know, myself. Right now I'm trying to rid my urine of some stuff. So, you know, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. Not to mention, like, the drug testing system and, you know, just prison and rehab. I mean, these are all huge fucking industries, dude. Like, you know who is trying to stop my decriminalization in Philadelphia? The fucking police unions, the prison unions, the fucking cops up and down the fucking board. Why? Because it's a revenue generator for them, you know?
Nationwide.
Sure.
That's nationwide, too. Yep, you're right. Yep.
You know, so, like, and especially, like, you know, I don't know if you guys are aware of Michelle Lionert, who is the head of the DEA. I mean, this woman is fucking, you know, clueless when it comes to, you know, I mean, like, meth and cocaine are Schedule II drugs. Marijuana is a Schedule I drug. Like, please just, like explain the fucking bizarro world that, like, you know, we live in. And, you know, I deal with the marijuana industry all the time. I mean, there is a rash of prohibitionists that are, you know, on their last legs that are trying to talk about, you know, marijuana is going to do this and marijuana is do that. Look, 100,000 people a year crash their fucking cars after drinking Bud Pounders. It doesn't stop fucking girls in bikinis from making fucking Coors Light commercials.
Fuck them.
Okay, so there's going to be a dude that smokes a bone and falls off his deck, you know. I mean, like, this is how it goes, you know. And, you know, and one thing I could, you know, essentially warn people that don't use, this would be my only advice for people that don't use marijuana regularly, and you go to Colorado, okay, and you want to try something, and you think that eating a cookie, okay, is the best idea for you. I'm going to tell you right now, I know people that manufacture marijuana food. Eating cookies, it's not the best way for you to start trying marijuana again, okay? I ate a cookie at the Boston Freedom Rally last year. I was stoned for like 48 hours, okay? Like, there is, and I mean, like, I, like, use marijuana, you know what I mean? Like, really. So
you
know,
need to try, you need to try the Joey Diaz banana bread. That's what you need to try.
Smoke a bone, man. Smoke, like, at least if you're smoking marijuana, you know when you smoke too much. You know what I mean? You eat a goddamn cookie, and 18 hours later, you feel like you're on mushrooms. You know, part you know, and another huge thing too is, like, when you start drinking, you don't grab Glenlivet Scotch. You know what I mean? And fucking start throwing it down your goddamn throat. Or if you do, you're gonna puke in your dad's fucking basement. You know what I mean?
Spins, you puke, you're gonna get the whole night. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
why.
like,
That's why my father never liked pot. So he never tried it unless he was drinking. It's the only time he ever smoked pot at all. He was already completely hammered.
Wow.
You know, off food.
Yeah, you have to, you know, you have to do baby steps, and especially with the things that are being legalized, you know, everyone has to kind of just be like, okay, well, if I'm going to try this, you know, I need to try it. You know, all those fucking drinking ads. They say, please drink responsibly. Well, you know what? I can't wait till 10 years from now where I can be selling, like, weed. I want to become, like, the Billy Mays of weed shit. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm an EPO here for fucking this or for that. You know, I mean, it's going to take time for the industry, you know, to come around. And, you know, I don't think that marijuana is going to be legally, like, nationwide anytime soon, but I also don't think that that means that people should stop fighting where they are, because so many times people are like, oh, Poe, why don't you just move to Colorado and shut the fuck up? It's like, well, because I live here, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, you know, I mean, Colorado should not become like the fucking Exodus.
Right.
You know, for everyone. Like, great. Guys like me can go out to Colorado 3-4 times a year and, you know, live it up, you know. And, you know, Cali has a great medical program too, man, you know. But, this is just all stuff that needs to change incrementally. And I mean, it's definitely a freedom issue. It's definitely a freedom issue, and it's stuff that we need to push. And we need to continue to put pressure on the federal government to deschedule marijuana and to start treating, to admit the war on drugs has failed, and to admit their part in the war on drugs, being such a fucking epic failure. And, maybe starting regulating the pharmaceutical companies. I think that would be an important step.
Right. Well, you talk about the government. Well, even Jimmy Carter actually agreed that the war on drugs is a failure.
Yeah, and he also saw aliens, to be honest.
Yeah.
He did.
Yes.
But,
I might believe him on that because
I think he said UFOs. I don't know about. Did he say aliens?
Yeah, you're right. You did.
Yeah, it was UFOs. But, yeah. Well, me and Jeff have seen UFOs literally
many times. I've seen them.
I was sober. I was sober.
I'm a certified UFO investigator in Pennsylvania. Through a group called MUFON.
I'm up here in the Poconos and up in North Jersey. The most craziest UFO I saw flew directly overhead. It had to be no higher than a couple 100 feet above, and it almost took up the whole sky, going about 40 miles, 45 miles per hour. It was black.
Well, we could do a whole show on that. I've interviewed Travis Walton from Fire in the Sky a couple times.
Yeah.
And
huge black triangle. Huge black triangle.
We've had actually shows on UFOs. We've had we just had, I don't know if you know who Michael Cremo is. I don't know if you know
I do.
Michael. Yes, we had Michael Cremo on last Thursday. We've had Joseph P. Farrell, Tim Swartz from Ancient Aliens. So I mean, we've got into it. We've discussed all this before. So that's something we'd like to get into here. We'd like to give people a break from the old politics and shit. And
I'm glad you guys are multifaceted, man.
That's what we're shooting for. That's what we're shooting for.
When I used to podcast, I did a show on Disney and the Illuminati a couple times.
Yes.
It was really popular. A lot of that stuff is cool. And you know what? We used to be a conspiracy theory podcast, and I used to do a lot of this, not necessarily, we used to spoof Alex Jones, and I have a TV show that I do every couple of weeks called We the Sheeple, which is like a desk show where we kind of do Daily Show type of jokes about Illuminati type of shit and stuff like that. But you know what? The way I look at that stuff is it's such a large, baseless thing. I mean, there's stuff that we can all do in our own communities to, fight the power. So, I've kind of moved away from the idea of just complaining about society in general, and I've become more of a talker and less of a talker and more of a doer. And I think that if anyone is an example of someone that's just basically a piece of shit that put his mind to trying to change some things on a local level, I think that I'm definitely a guy that has done that, and I think that I don't want people to fucking donate to me or to fucking worship me. What I want them to do is go out and try to do that in their own community, so everyone in the fucking world can be a better place. So when I see when people, if you're listening to this show, if you have any questions about anything, if you'd like to know how to do some work in your town, how to organize on some things, some strategies for things, please contact me. I go through all my messages, no matter how fucking crazy they are. I mean, I let Perkins fucking get to me. You know what I mean? So, anyone that sends me a message, I definitely take my time and and respond as long as you're not insulting me or trying to fuck my girlfriend. So I really I appreciate it, and I got to go, but I really appreciate being on the show. I had a wonderful time. I haven't been on a show in a while where I really vibed with the guys. So I'd love to be back. At any time you'd like to have me.
Nice. Absolutely, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely one of the most fun, if not the most fun guest that we've had on.
Indeed.
I appreciate it, and make sure you send a copy of this to me and a copy of it to Cantwell, and we'll spread it around a little bit.
Tomorrow, I'll cut this up. I'm putting the interview on YouTube, and I'm sending it straight to Cantwell. So
you're the man. All right, well,
that.
All right, well, it's great talking to you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Poe. Take care, buddy.
You guys take care.
Yeah, buddy.